So that's the first step for me of, is a player going to be coachable? Well, he needs to know that I trust them and I'm always going to do what's best for them, right?
Build that trust first.
100%.
Welcome to the Hockey Review Podcast. To become the best, you have to surround yourself with the best.
That's what we're working on, skills that translate.
Wait, so it's like a parade?
Yeah, it was a parade.
No way, that's like a parade. Pretty chaotic start for sure, but that was junior hockey for me. What's up, hockey players? Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Review Podcast. Today, I'm joined with head coach of the San Diego Sabers USPHL Premier, James Spaargaren. How you doing today, James?
Good. How you doing?
Doing great. So we always hear about, or so far we've heard guys playing in LA guys playing hockey. Now we're down here in San Diego. We want to hear a perspective of a San Diego native. So can you give us a little intro of how you got into hockey down here in SD?
Yeah, I mean, being from San Diego, hockey definitely wasn't very well known. You know, it wasn't a hockey hotbed as they call it. You know, for myself, being a 2000 birth year, I started pretty late. I started at 13 years old, and my dad, he's actually from Chicago and big Blackhawks fan. So he had asked me in 2013, because they were on that, you know, monster tear that they're on. He said, "Hey, do you want to try hockey?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll try." I did a little, learned to skate, and kind of fell in love with the game from that point. And, you know, it took a lot of sacrifice from them as well, driving me to the rink every day. And as we had talked about it, what is the San Diego hockey, you know, landscape like? Well, for me, I had to move out at 17 to go find, you know, a higher level of AAA, which I played Colorado Rampage 18 AAA, which they played in that Tier 1 Elite League, which was a great opportunity for me. And after that 1 year there, I ended up making that jump to juniors from that point. And for me, that was starting with the Chippewa Steel, the North American League. Started there, bounced up and down with their Tier 3 team as well, and got a handful of games that first year of juniors. My following season, I ended up coming back. Things didn't end up working out so well. Ended up going to Bismarck to try and make that team. Got released right before that NAHL showcase in Blaine, at the Schwann Center there. And that's where I actually ended up going out east to play in the NCDC for a team called the Rochester Junior Monarchs, what it was. So
They're no longer a team anymore, right?
Not anymore, no, yeah. So I had gone out there for that one season, had a great experience. From that, after that season, it was kind of looking to get back to the North American League from that point. And the assistant coach that was at Bismarck at the time, he had gotten hired at Wichita Falls as the head coach there. So when the upcoming NAHL draft came up, he actually ended up taking me in that draft, and ironically that was their inaugural season for there. So when I had reported for training camp, you know, that was the COVID era and all the borders had gotten shut down, and just the way the numbers all shook out, I ended up returning back to where I started with the Tier 3 program, the New Ulm Steel is what they're called. They're not a club anymore, but I went back there, was the captain there, and had a great final year of juniors. Ended up committing NCAA Division III to Arcadia University, which is located about 12 miles from Philly. So it was a great, for me, I chose to go there for a number of reasons, but the first one was I wanted to get out of the Midwest. I wanted to experience a different area and see what that life was like. On top of that, it was a great academic school. And then the third and final reason was that it was their inaugural season. So it was, you know, 25 or so freshmen coming in.
Like fresh start?
Like all 20-year-old freshmen. And it was just a great experience from that point. Playing at Arcadia was great. I actually scored the first 2 goals in program history, which was like a pretty cool,
unreal, yeah,
a pretty cool moment, I would say. Yeah. But no, it was a great time. I mean, made some good friends there. But now that, you know, my college career, once my college career came to an end, I ended up moving back to San Diego with now my wife and our 2 kids. And when we had moved back here, it was kind of like, what's next? How can I get involved with the San Diego hockey landscape? And that's what led me from, you know, one door to another, led me to the San Diego Sabers, where I took over that program last season. And it was just, it was a great first year for sure, and definitely excited for year 2.
Awesome, man. That's I mean, cool story, unique coming from, I mean, San Diego, right? That's, again, kind of a smaller, much smaller hockey market than LA.
For sure.
So let's kind of run it back, go back now. Let's talk about like your move from AAA to NAHL. Were you like so were you drafted to Chippewa? Like, how did you get recruited initially to Chippewa and then NAHL?
No, I made it as a free agent at a camp.
Okay, so, really?
So I'd gone to like most kids do, once they start getting main camp invites, you just start going to them without really having any idea, without doing any research of like how many returners do they have, X, Y, Z, right? So Chippewa, that was actually, I have this, it's this thing, I keep going to programs that are like, it's their first year. And it started like Chippewa, that was their first year.
Right, yeah.
So that was Chippewa's first year, and I was like, okay, there's no returners, right? So it's going to be a great experience for me. And I think it was a great experience just to be a part of that, going from 18 AAA to the North American League, seeing the difference of AAA compared to just compared to juniors in general.
Yeah.
I would say it was pretty intimidating for sure. Like, you're used to playing against kids that are all your age. And then when you go to juniors, right, you go in I went in as an 18-year-old. Some kids go in when they're 16, and there's 20-year-olds, right? And like as you know, that just the makeup of a 16-year-old to a 20-year-old can be very different.
So the difference between, let's say, the North American League and the NA3, again, you were kind of bouncing back and forth,
right?
Both, right? So was there like a huge difference in play between like when you're playing, like was there
for sure
difference?
I would say there was a massive difference. Yeah, I mean, and kind of just the way that I would say tier 3 juniors kind of rolls is like your top 2 lines are pretty solid, and then what you see is like there's a significant drop off to the 3rd to the 4th, right? And what I realized when I was and I would say even at like for any kid that's played youth hockey, right? Like, I think everyone knows like who the best defenseman is on their team, right? When they go against them in practice, like the difference of mindset-wise, a one-on-one against your best defenseman versus your worst defenseman.
Right.
And what I found at the tier 2 level was everyone's so much tighter. Like the skill level, it's like there was no, okay, this guy's way worse than the top defenseman.
Right.
Right. And with tier 2 especially, it's like, it's not to be, I don't know, I guess like harsh about it, but everyone's so replaceable right, in juniors or in hockey in general. Like, especially at the tier 2 level, like kids want to be at that level, right? It's tuition-free hockey besides the billet fee and whatnot, right? So if you don't fit that standard of like what they're looking for, or like culturally what the coach wants, what the GM wants, it's very quick to say see you later for somebody else, right? So I'd say that's probably the biggest difference between the tier 2 and that tier 3 jump. I would say also, kind of sounds different than what I was saying prior, sometimes it felt a little bit easier to play tier 2 hockey. Really? Just because guys kind of knew where to be. They kind of like helped each other. For sure, right.
You play with someone who's good too.
Right. So it was just, they knew like where to look. But I would say what I saw from tier 2 is you go into this training camp with 30 guys, or sometimes even more. Some teams carry even more, right? Like they got to cut it, right? They got to cut down to 27 and down to 25. So it's this weird balance of guys going so hard against each other every day, but not being like douchebags about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you have to show that you're a part of the culture, you get weeded out, but you still have to go 100% against
practice.
Right. So that was, I would say, a huge difference for sure.
Oh, totally. I mean, and I'm sure like the level, like you mentioned, like it's everyone's, deep, everyone's good, and that's the main difference. But then you went from the North American to the NCDC, and that change was, I guess, not really what you wanted initially, right? It was kind of tough, but like, how'd you make the NCDC? Like, how'd you, I guess, manage to change, let's say, direction,
Yeah, I mean, well, I think when you get cut, it's like, and when you're at that age, it's like the whole world is crashing down on you, right? I mean, I can remember, like, just from a player perspective, like, for me, the first person I called whenever I got cut was my mom. Like, I always called my mom, and I was like, now what? And she would always say to me, like, all right, like, she was funny. She'd be like, all right, go get yourself something to eat. Like, use my card, go enjoy a nice meal, and then stop feeling sorry for yourself, pretty much, because you got to figure out what the next move is, right? So
you have no choice to.
Yeah. Right. like you gotta, like you got, and it's one of those things where it's getting cut. You have to learn, like, that's not something that's going to define you, right? So for me, going on to NCDC was just kind of exploring, like, okay, what are the options? What's this newer tier 2 team at the time, right? Or tier 2 league in general.
Right.
So going out there, I didn't really know what to expect. And what I found was most of these kids were from the East Coast, right? And it was, a little bit of a drop off from the NAHL at that time, right? Like there was a couple Division I commits on that team that I was at, and we were not one of the top teams for sure. But you're back in that same environment where there's, 25 guys fighting for a roster spot come Friday night, come Saturday.
So it's still really intense.
100%. Yeah, very intense for sure. And again, it's that gauge of not crossing that line of, going hard and then not crossing the line where you're a bad teammate, right? Which is where a lot of players can't find that line, right? Like they think they need to go kill a guy from behind, and that's what the coach wants, right? But really it's pushing guys every day and then also doing the right things along the way. So
yeah, I think we talked about a little bit before the NCDC how it's kind of changed a little bit. I guess when you were playing, it was a league where, it seemed like there were a little more D1 commits.
For sure.
Now it's not so much. Like, what are your thoughts on like the whole change of like that league now?
Well, I would say like when I was in the NCDC, I'd say like the top teams at that time were like the Jersey Hitmen, Boston Junior Bruins, and there was like 5 or 6 Division I commits on that team.
On each team?
On both of those. Yeah, like each team, right? And everyone had a Division I commit, right, on their teams for the most part. What I've noticed the trend is now, and I think the CHL definitely, them having Division I players now has definitely added a lot of change to that. I think, with that, what I'm saying is like less Division I commits for sure. But I think one thing that is happening is, the Division III hockey is getting a lot better.
Way better, yeah.
Like
sure.
Like more guys are going pro from Division III than ever before, right? And I think it's just because, you compare it to a scale like basketball, right, where there's so many Division I teams. I can't even remember. I know it's over 100 for sure.
Something like that, yeah. Or something like that.
Yeah, like hockey-wise, there's only like 65, I think, right? I think that even maybe more, right? So given that, like, it's so much harder to make it, right? And in D3, I think it's the same thing. I think there's around 60 plus or so, maybe just under 70, right? So Division III is becoming very, very good hockey. And I would say, like, the best team that I played against Division III wise was Utica College, which is one of the top D3 schools.
Very good too.
They're
right?
They're great, right? I remember my first, my freshman year, you don't really know what to expect going into college. You don't have any really seniors that are like, this is what Division III hockey is like. So it's kind of like, good luck, kid, And when we played against Utica, I remember that year, because of COVID, kids got an extra year, right? So kids could fifth year because of the COVID. So I remember when we played Utica that year, there was 8 fifth years, so 8 grad years. So that's 8 26-year-olds. And then also 8 Division I transfers as well. And then the other guys were just like returners, right? Like upperclassmen and whatnot.
Damn.
So it was like, when we lined up a bunch of 20 or 21-year-olds, right? Or 22-year-olds, right? It was like, you could just see the difference from a 21-year-old to a 26-year-old.
Maturity, right?
100%. So that was like a surreal experience. And I gained a ton of experience just from playing against guys so much older, right? And seeing what college hockey is like. And, whether it's D1 or D3, a lot of players that, that I used to train with or that I currently train now, they said like juniors, you have this 60, 70 game schedule.
Right.
College, you have like a 25 or 30 or 35 game schedule, right? So everybody is going as hard as they can on Friday and Saturday night because you have half the amount of games, right? And what I noticed, a lot of that time was made up in the gym. I would say at Arcadia, like, we spent so much time in the gym, and I think a lot of people don't realize how big the game is and like how strong the players are, right? Like I left playing, I think it was going into my first year of juniors, I was 160, and I got banged up quite a bit at that weight. And my parents were able to help me get a nutritionist, and By my freshman year, I was 185, right? And even that was like, everybody was like 185, it felt like, right? So, I mean, that was, I would say, like, the big jump, I would say, when you compare league to league every single year. Right?
Like the strength and like weight class of like guys, like, I mean, it sounds like at the college level, right? I mean, you have guys who are in the gym, like almost like in the summer, like just so much, right? It's like, it's a huge part of it, right?
For sure.
It becomes more and more thing the higher you go, right? That gym, that, you know, that quality training, the size, the muscle, right?
And just understanding, honestly, one thing, like I would say the biggest thing I learned from college too is I learned how to understand my body, like what worked for me, right? Like sophomore year, I went in at 195 and I was like, this is just too much. Like I felt too heavy at that point, right? So, and like you're saying, the gym side of it, 100%, like I didn't come back home from Pennsylvania during the off seasons because I stayed out there with my trainer and
Because of that gym, right?
and worked with him like every day. I mean, it's a free resource. It's free gym. You get ice, for a cheaper rate. So for me, and like that kind of segues me into coming to California. I wanted to give guys, like I do the off-season training, a lot of the off-season training down here in San Diego for like the junior guys, for some college guys as well, where they're on a 5-day-a-week gym program and then we're on the ice 3 days a week, right? And getting kids to see like training them in a way where it's preparing them for when they leave California. I don't want them to feel like I guess I did when I went to Colorado and I was like, wow, everyone's so much bigger. My first year juniors,
Right.
Why is everybody 185, right? And I'm not, right? So that's kind of like the biggest thing for sure.
But then, so I guess now as a coach, I'm sure you've delved like deeper into like the science of like, the gym, nutrition, right? So what are a few things that maybe people may not know that like, that actually do help them? Like maybe like I've heard guys say, oh, like go for more reps, go for less reps, eat this or that. Like, do you have any like fun, like not so well-known facts that players should know going into like what builds their off-season regimen?
Yeah, I would say a big thing that I preach to my guys is as hard as they train, they recover the same amount as hard. And what I mean by that is like, because guys, a lot of times like they're gonna be sore, right? And I will listen to them tell me that they're sore as long as they've done everything recovery-wise that they're supposed to do. So like, for example, with the program that I run for these guys, like, every Friday or sometimes Wednesdays, or for the season, like for the Sabers, for every Wednesday we did beach yoga, right? Really? And getting guys to do like hip mobility, rolling out, yoga, cold plunge, all that stuff, right? And also most importantly for me is like, I just randomly asked the guys, like, how many hours of sleep did you get last night? Because I think a lot of guys don't understand how much recovery that they need and how much sleep they need too, right? Like I want my guys getting 8 hours of sleep, right? Which is perfect kind of rolling into like how things are ran here with the Sabers, right? And in this, like how I run the team is every day the guys are usually up by 7 a.m. every day.
Really?
Yep.
7 a.m., okay.
So they're up at 7 a.m. Because we have something at 8 usually, right? Now some guys are probably up at like 7:30, right? And 2 days a week they're going to be in the gym. 1 day a week we're going to be doing yoga or sprint work, and then the other 2 days that make up the 5-day work week is going to be film, right?
Okay.
So like day in the life of the Sabers would be like Monday would be that film review from the previous weekend, right? That's what starts at 8 a.m. Tuesday would be like a workout, right? Wednesday would be some recovery. Thursday would be another lift, right? Which would be like a lighter lift, getting ready for the weekend. And then Fridays we hit film on the upcoming opponent, right? So it's very structured. And the reason why we do it like that is so that these guys cannot afford to be up till 2 a.m., right?
You make it so that they're up bright and early and...
They're up early. There's no you're going to see it right away on the ice. At 10:30 when we're on the ice, you're gonna see who got rest and who didn't. Right. So I mean, I think that's like kind of what's something, and that's not just off season, that's in season as well. What's something that's super neglected is how do these guys recover?
Recovery, yeah. So recovery would be like definitely is overlooked. You would say
for sure.
A lot of emphasis, right?
100%.
So recovery, and then so now like being the head coach of the Sabers, like what do you notice like players like being coachable, right? As a coach, what makes a player like coachable?
Yeah.
In your eyes?
I think what makes a player coachable is that player needs to know that you trust them.
That's a good one. That's a good point, actually.
I think that like what I've realized with these guys, and I didn't have, like, I had some coaches in juniors, but I had some that I didn't, that I couldn't really trust, or I'm sure guys have felt like it before. You can't even walk by
Your coach.
you have to look at the floor when you walk by them.
Yeah.
Right? I think a lot of guys can relate to that. So what do I want to build here? I want to build a culture that's built on trust, that they know that I have their best interests 100% of the time, that my office is a room that they can open up to me about something that's more than hockey, right? Questions about hockey, they don't have to be scared to ask. So that's the first step for me of, is a player going to be coachable? Well, he needs to know that I trust them and I'm always going to do what's best for them, right?
Build that trust first.
100%. Part two of that now for them is to fully buy into it, buy into what I'm saying, right? And one of our sayings around here, right, is individual success comes from team success, right?
Got it, yeah.
So, and the way that I tell these guys is nobody cares about the MVP of a last place team.
That's a very good way to put it.
Right?
Because, yeah, right.
Like,
Right.
For us, it's the better the team we have, the more guys are going to get looks. The more guys are going, because, people want to recruit winners as well. People want to know that they're recruiting someone that's not just a good player, but they also know how to buy into a culture.
Right.
Right? They know how to buy into a system and say, you know what, this guy is going to be a great teammate as well. He's a hell of a hockey player, but he's also a good person, right? And like we had talked about before we even started recording, like San Diego is a beautiful place to live. It's very easy to get people to want to play here. Now the criteria is they have to be a good person. Like we want them to be a good human being, right? And you go through phone calls and family interviews and whatnot, then talking to them and getting an understanding. But then once they get out here within 2 weeks or within I'd say a week, right? You kind of see, right? And I think that again with that, the trust side of it, right? And what are we looking for with players? Well, it's guys that want to buy into for the next 7 months that you're a San Diego Saber, right? You are gonna 100% buy in and focus on being here. I promise these guys, you take care of where you're at here, you do everything you can here, you're gonna get an opportunity to go elsewhere, right? And we want guys to go tier 2. I mean, last year, like kind of showing that we wanted that, like what we want players to go tier 2 is like, my starting goalie that I had, Victor Pastor, I would say we were 6 points out of a playoff spot with 10 games left. And, he was set on being the guy in the crease, right? He wanted to own the crease. Right before the trade deadline, he gets a call from a tier 2 team in Rock Springs. And he says, I don't know what to do. I want to stay because I want to win games.
That's a tough decision.
I said, you got to go. I said, you have to go. Like this is what you've been working for, is to play at a higher level and to get kids closer to playing, NCAA college hockey, right? Or ACHA hockey. Honestly, the more guys we can get to college hockey, the better. And I think, like, why are these guys doing this? I think using hockey as a tool to get your education is one of the best things that it can give you.
100%.
So, I mean, I think that kind of answers your question. Right?
Yeah. I mean, definitely, like, it comes from, like you said, the baseline of, like, trust with your coach. And then after that, it's like, are they a good person, right? Are they going to commit to buying into a program?
For sure.
And I think that, but more on the coach's part, I think you're totally right on that. I mean, it's like when you get recruited to a program, right? You're a coach, that should be like a real agreement that you have, like your coach has said to you, like, I recruited you because I believe in you.
Right.
And I just didn't recruit you just for, a spot that I need filling, It's like a coach should commit to that player recruit that player because they commit to them and they should have all their best interests.
For sure.
Right. And I see a lot of coaches that are like, they recruit guys and they just kind of discard them after, like, what was that for?
Right.
And you kind of just screw the player, right? Like because the player made this commitment to the coach and the team, and the coach didn't return that. I love that point about you building that trust and like having their best interest. That's such an important point for coaches.
I think it's, for me, I think it's because I just went through it all, recently. I just went through playing, right? So for me, like when I took this job, right, like I told my wife, like, I want to be the coach that I never had, right? I want to be the coach that I wish that I had. That's like the biggest mindset that I put into this is like, how do I want to feel like as a player when I go by my office? Like if I put myself in their shoes, right? Because I think you get a group of guys, you get 25, 30 guys that can buy into that, right? And do push the ship in the right direction. Like you have a pretty lethal team at that point. And you have also guys saying that this was the best year of hockey they've ever had, the most fun they've ever had too. I think that's one thing that's lost is people forget that hockey is supposed to be fun. And it's one of the most fun things you could, I mean, I can tell you from going to juniors and playing in front of crowds and whatnot, and that great feeling that it was, and like, you know, local townies are coming to watch your games, and it's just an unreal experience. But when you go to college and there's people in your stats class that want to come watch your game over the weekend, like, hey, what time's the game at again? And like, it's like 7:30, right? And you're like, yeah, like, and then you come back on the Monday and kids are like, hey, that was a great game.
It was
great game over the weekend. Yeah. It's like, whoa, this is so cool because the people know you, right? And it feels special. So that's when I say like college hockey, that was like one of the best experiences. Like, you know, skating in warm-ups and you just kind of like look at the glass, it's like, oh, I have class with you. That's crazy. You know what I mean?
All my friends are there in the stands, right?
And I want kids that come through my program, right? I want them to experience that. In order to do that, this program has to be treated like
a college program, yeah.
It has to get treated like a tier 2. It has to be it has to be treated as what they want it to be, and that's why, like, why do we do things at 7 a.m.? Well, it's because you guys got to get bed early. Like, nothing good happens after midnight, right? Like that's just like the saying, right? And that's just kind of the program that we run here, because I think when you're in juniors, you got 4 years to make the most of it to get to college. If you start at 16, some it's 3, 2, whatever it is. So if you're telling me for 1, 2, 3 years, if you can give 100% effort towards your end goal of playing Division I hockey or Division III hockey or ACHA hockey, I think that 3 years of sacrifice that you're going to have to make is actually going to be a reward at the end of the day. So I don't think it's a sacrifice at all, honestly.
So it's about kind of embracing that journey.
For sure.
Because if you truly love the game, you want to make it to the next level, you actually enjoy the sacrifice, the grind, you know, that's part of it.
For sure.
It's part of making it to the next level, right? So
and we're done by 12 every day, besides games, obviously, but we're done by 12. So these guys have opportunities after, and some, like, you know, we have community service and whatnot, like beach cleanups and stuff like that, and visiting like the fire station and whatnot. But that afternoon, that gives that kid from a small town in, you know, Alberta an opportunity to go explore San Diego, to go, you know, there's not many rinks that are 10 minutes from the beach, right?
Right.
And to know that you could be 10 minutes from the beach and you could be playing tier 2 the following year, or even during the year, or, you know, playing Division III hockey the following year. I mean, why not play in San Diego, right? So that's kind of what we're selling, right?
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, makes sense. I mean, like we talked about earlier, why wouldn't like teams in the West Coast here like have the best players? Because, you know, who doesn't want to play at a rink from the beach, right?
For sure. I mean, I think that's why we use the beach. That's why we could do the beach yoga, right?
Yeah.
Because you have kids that come from landlocked states and they're like, wow. Yeah. Actually, I had a kid this past year. He's coming back to play for me this year. He loved being here so much. His parents are actually moving here in October.
No way.
Yeah, from Wisconsin. So it's like,
no way.
Yeah, it's
wow,
unreal. Like the relationships that I've, you know, been able to create with the guys that play for me here, and you know, my inaugural season. Like we're talking about, you know, I think it was 27 guys last year that looked at a first-year head coach, myself, and said, yeah, I'm going to trust you with my future. Mm-hmm. And that's something that, you know, I told them at the end of the year, like, I'm so grateful for this group, because you guys looked at me and said, all right, let's do it.
I trust you.
Exactly.
Basically, yeah.
And it was great. So.
And this is like your first head coaching job?
Yep. Yeah. So it was year 1 last year.
And to have that trust story built with players, that's definitely something special.
I think it's
kudos to you for that, actually. Yeah,
I was able to learn a lot from a lot of good coaches along the way, and like starting like when I first started playing, right? And it's just how you treat people and how you do one thing should be how you do everything, right?
Yeah. So going forward in the future, is coaching a career you want to continue in and stay with?
Yeah, I mean, I think the absolute dream for me would be turning San Diego State into an NCAA Division I program.
Yeah.
That would be like, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, not having to leave California would be great, but also growing it. Like, it's hard to expect kids to train at a very high level if they've never played at that level, right? And the only players that see it are the kids that leave, right? It'd be great if we could build something in San Diego that kids just didn't have to leave, right?
So something local, right?
Right. Like juniors wise, if juniors blew up here, I would love that, to take that opportunity and coach something like that, like at a tier 2 level. But also like that collegiate level, like having kids say, oh, like it's Friday night, we're going to go watch San Diego State play, right? That would just be and you've seen how Arizona State did it, right? Like they
did it.
Phenomenal job.
Yeah.
And now it's like a top, one of a top 20 program in the country, right? To do that in San Diego. And I mean, I think if you ask a kid if they want to play Division I hockey in San Diego, I think they would probably say yes 10 out of 10 times, right? Like
I think it's like I got some chills like hearing that. It's like because it's so sick, right?
It would be unreal, right? And just growing hockey for me would be the biggest thing.
So growing hockey locally here.
For sure. And that's like
the goal.
Training some of the players that I do are guys that, play juniors elsewhere. And, they tell me like, man, I wish the Sabres were like, a USHL or a North American League team, because like, man, we would love to play for you, right? Just to stay home too as well. Like there's nothing really be better than just stay home. And, a lot of kids like have to go to prep school, or they have to go to, like I did, they had to go to Rampage, and or kids from San Diego have to drive up to Anaheim every week, or LA. Like let's keep kids home and let's build something down here. That's where people are like, San Diego, that's the spot for hockey. Like that's the place where you want to be for hockey. Yeah, it'll take time, like anything, but
yeah, I mean, like Arizona did it like really well. I mean, that the whole hub with Phoenix, Tempe, that's become like a hockey hub
for sure.
Itself, so for sure. Possible, So I totally see it. And yeah, man, great insights, experiences. I mean, thank you for taking the time to do this. We really appreciate feedback and your experience now as a coach. Very, very valuable, for all the listeners here. Definitely can learn a lot. So thank you for coming.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time too. It's really awesome to have, especially your platform. I think, what you're building with, just reviewing junior hockey and whatnot, and giving kids an opportunity to see what a program is really like, because it's really hard to know what to trust out there. So I think you're a great thing for the hockey community.
Thank you, James. This is the Hockey Group Podcast. Thank you, James.
Sweet.